Oh, hello, hello. Hello, and welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with Dr. Wells. Welcome to all my Wellness Wednesday watchers. This is Dr. Latoya Wells. I am a family nurse practitioner who holds a doctorate degree in nursing practice, and I am the owner of Wells Legacy Health and Wellness. I just want to say thank you all for being here again tonight. We're going to jump into our topic. I just want to highlight one thing before we jump into our topic. Women, if you have not had your mammogram, I know we just finished the month of October and we're in November. However, it's never too late to get your mammogram. So as we are getting ready to close out November 1st, if you have not scheduled your mammogram, please do so. I'm going to keep dropping those reminders and giving you those subtle nudges to do that. Okay. So again, thank you all so much for being here. This is Dr. Latoya Wells with Wellness Wednesday. November, the month of November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. Okay. And so with that being said, we are going to talk about all things diabetes this month. Diabetes is a huge topic. There's so many different things that we can talk about and focus on diabetes. So tonight, I'm going to give you a brief overview. Next week, I'm going to have an amazing friend of mine and colleague who specializes in diabetes care and management, Camille Bell. I'll have her on live with us. And so we'll kind of dive into some more information on diabetes. But tonight, we're going to do a brief overview. What you can expect from us this month is make sure you check out our page. I'll be posting infographics, information, some informational videos, statistics, things like that. So if you don't know about diabetes, by the time this live is over, hopefully you'll have a lot of information that you didn't know. If you do know about diabetes, then maybe this is just a refresher. But our goal is by the end of this month that everybody watching this live would have gotten screened for diabetes. And if you have diabetes, you will know what your hemoglobin A1C is. And you're able to take away some tips and some different things that you can do to improve your diabetes. Okay. So let's jump in. How many types of diabetes are there? There's many different types of diabetes. And we're just going to highlight, as I mentioned, we're going to highlight them. We're not going to go much into detail tonight because we'll do more deep diving on the different types and other content related to diabetes throughout the month. When you have diabetes, so let me just back up. What is diabetes? Diabetes is when the body has a problem turning sugar, which is glucose, from food into energy. So our bodies produce this hormone called insulin, and it helps us to break down the sugar or the glucose that's in our body. And when you have diabetes, your body either does not make enough insulin or it can't use the insulin the way it's supposed to. Okay. Diabetes can take on many different forms. We have type 1 diabetes, and this is usually called juvenile diabetes. This is when the body loses the ability to make insulin altogether. And so you usually see this in little kids, usually late kids to, I say, teenagers, right? And so we see this in those individuals. Type 2 diabetes is when the body develops a resistance to the action of insulin and it can't make enough insulin on its own. So in type 1 diabetes, the body's not making the insulin altogether. And so they have to get insulin or receive insulin in order to keep their blood sugars or their sugars under control. With type 2 diabetes, there's an insulin resistance. Either the body's not making enough or it's not able to use the insulin that the body is making. And so again, the blood sugars or the sugar or glucose levels begin to increase. We have a thing called pre-diabetes. It's when you're right there on the borderline of diabetes. Now, as a healthcare provider, I say you either have diabetes or you don't. Your risk of developing diabetes can be monitored, or we can kind of rate how close you are to developing diabetes based on blood work that we see. And we'll talk about the blood work and some of the labs that we typically have drawn on patients just as a screening measures, or if we think that something's going on, that they may have diabetes based on the symptoms that they present with. You also have gestational diabetes, and this is when a pregnant woman develops diabetes during pregnancy. Excuse me. And again, we'll go into that. And then there's something called pediatric diabetes, and that can be either type 1 or type 2 diabetes that affects children. So we kind of talked about what diabetes is. In clinical practice and just in general, talking to family and friends and those in the community, some of the terms that I hear is, "Oh, my sugar's up. I was told that I'm a little bit diabetic. Um, my glucose levels are high or low," and so that opens up a whole nother conversation on diabetes. And then based on the information that these individuals are telling me and how the conversation goes, then that prompts me to ask them additional questions. Tonight, we're going to also talk about some of the facts about diabetes and some statistics on diabetes and just a brief overview. Some fun facts about diabetes. There's no cure to diabetes. Some people said, "Oh, I was cured of diabetes." No, you weren't cured of diabetes. You've done things to be able to get your blood sugar under control to where you no longer need insulin and things of that nature. But we'll talk about that later, okay? Some fun facts about diabetes. And I love my statistics, so we're going to talk a little bit about some numbers. There's a total number of 37.3 million people with diabetes currently. And I'm sure that number has increased because each day we have more individuals who are diagnosed with diabetes. 11.3% of the US population has diabetes. 28.7 million people, including 28.5 million people, are diagnosed with diabetes each year. And there's a total of about 8.5 million who have diabetes and don't even know that they have it. So pre-diabetes, meaning your hemoglobin A1C, which is the gold standard for diagnosing diabetes, and we'll talk about those numbers in a little bit, meaning that number is within a certain range. And so with pre-diabetes, we have 96 million people age 18 and older have pre-diabetes. And individuals who are 65 and older, that accounts for 26.4 million individuals. So about 48.8% of individuals who have been diagnosed with pre-diabetes. Give me 1 second. I want to look something up. All right, so I wanted to get the ranges, make sure I'm giving this to you guys correctly. Someone just said that my Wednesday is spelled incorrectly on the page, so forgive my misspellings, okay? I was rushing. I have to hop from this live and jump on another live. My husband and I are doing Bible study tonight, so yeah, so bear with me. But you guys know what I mean. Wellness Wednesday, however it's spelled, I don't know. So the leading cause of blindness, diabetes, is the leading cause of blindness worldwide. Adults with diabetes are twice as likely to die from heart disease or stroke. Millions of Americans have type 1 diabetic, and we talked about that. And many people have diabetes and don't know, for the simple fact or the simple reason because the symptoms are mild and they go unnoticed for a long time. And typically individuals don't know they have diabetes until something's wrong or till they're really sick, or they get their blood work done and their glucose levels are elevated, and that prompts their provider to draw more blood, such as the hemoglobin A1C, or they go for a routine screening and we check their urine, and the glucose levels in the urine are really high. So then that prompts some additional testing, and we determine that these individuals do have diabetes. Half of all of those with diabetes, as I mentioned, go unnoticed or undiagnosed. One, because we have individuals who don't go to see their doctor as they should. They don't get their follow-up blood work done. I can't tell you how many people I know that I've given lab slips and they don't go get their blood work done. Let's do better, okay? Let's make sure we're following through on all the things related to our health. If you take the time to go in and see your provider, your doctor, your nurse practitioner, whomever it may be, and they recommend screenings, go ahead and get that done, right? Some other myths about diabetes. People think, well, if I eat too much sugar, then that's going to cause me to get diabetes. That's not the case. So diabetes is not caused by eating too much sugar, right? Now, if you have diabetes and you're eating a lot of sugary foods, processed sugar, high carbs, starches, which starch and carbohydrates turn into sugar once they're ingested. And those individuals who have diabetes, their body has a hard time processing and digesting that sugar and dealing with the sugar. And glucose. So their glucose levels go up. People with diabetes can enjoy sweets. You can enjoy the pasta. You can enjoy the rice. You can have the potatoes, things of that nature. Everything is moderation. Everything in moderation. So moderation is key. Not saying that you can't have it. And if you've been a Wellness Wednesday watcher for some time now, you know that I am a stickler about saying all things are in moderation. I don't like to tell people what they can't have. Moderation. So watch what you're eating. Watch how much you're eating. We talked about the My Plate Planner, and where it's the 8-inch plate, 8 or 9-inch, I believe it was 8-inch plate. And half of that is your lean protein, right? We talked about that protein that fits in the size of the palm of your hand. And then also the quarter of that is going to be your starches, which is your rice, your potato, your pasta, what have you, a quarter. And then the other part of that is going to be your vegetables, salad, things of that nature. Okay. So again, watch what you're eating and how much you're eating. Treating diabetes. There's many different ways that we can treat diabetes. And this is where I want to highlight the phrase, my diabetes was cured. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's cured. It's just that we're able to maintain it and maintain a healthy glucose level, a healthy A1C, so that those levels are not increased and you're not having to take insulin or medication for it. So treating diabetes, first thing we want to do is start with lifestyle modification. If you're not exercising, as we mentioned many times during the Wellness Wednesdays, exercise. 30 minutes of moderate exercise at least 5 days a week. And again, before you start anything, before you change any of your diet, disclaimer, I want to make sure that you are following up with your healthcare provider, right? So 30 minutes of moderate exercise at least 5 days a week. So 150 minutes of moderate exercise. Watch what you're eating. Okay. So monitoring your food. A good way to make sure that you're getting in what you're supposed to be getting in and the amounts that you're supposed to be taking in when it comes to your diet is meal prepping. And as I mentioned before, you can go on Pinterest, you can go on Instagram, Facebook, Google has a lot of different recipes and resources for helping you to plan out your meals. So if you know what you're eating, how much you're eating when you're meal prepping or you're preparing your food at home, you don't have to worry about what you're going to eat. And then you're not eating the unhealthy foods because you're hungry and you don't have time to prepare your meals. Making sure you're drinking plenty of water and following up with your healthcare provider. Individuals who were diabetic, whose weight was increased and their BMI was elevated. Once we got them on a really good diet regimen, and not diet that you're eliminating foods or you're not eating, but just making sure that you're monitoring what you're eating and how much you're eating. We've gotten them to exercise and work out and lose weight. We noticed that their blood sugar went down, their A1C was decreasing. They no longer had to take medication for their diabetes or their heart or their blood pressure or their cholesterol because they are maintaining it with lifestyle modifications. And so that's what it's all about. However, if for some reason you're not able to, or we've tried all of these things and nothing is working, then we'll have to put you on some medication. And we'll talk about those in another segment. We're not going to spend much time on that tonight. Living with diabetes is possible. It doesn't mean that diabetes is the end all be all. However, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not managing your diabetes well, there's a lot of complications that can happen because diabetes is considered a progressive disorder, meaning that it gets worse over time and that the symptoms of it and the damage from diabetes gets worse over time. And I don't have a straw with me tonight, but if you can think of this pen as a straw, and this is the sugar molecule. If you think about the sugar molecule trying to get through this straw, which is the blood vessel that leads to your heart, your kidneys, your hands, your feet, this doesn't work. It doesn't fit, right? So those blood vessels, those delicate, fragile blood vessels become damaged because the increased sugar molecules are trying to get through there. And that's when we get the neuropathy. That's when you see people losing feeling and sensation, which is essentially neuropathy in their feet and in their extremities. And they're not able to, my husband brought me a straw. And it damages those blood vessels. And so that's where individuals start having problems with their heart. They develop kidney disease. They develop neuropathy. They develop blindness and vision problems, all from diabetes. But when we get patients on a good regimen of lifestyle modifications, we're able to eliminate medications, decrease the doses of the medications, and eventually they're able to come off medications altogether. And when we check their A1C, which I'm going to talk about here in a second, it's in a normal range. And so I just want to say, do what you need to do. Get your physical exam every year. Follow up with your healthcare provider so that you know what your status is. This year, the theme for Diabetes Month, and I'm trying to get back to it, is take charge of tomorrow. And the way that we do that is by taking care of ourselves today. What you do today is going to impact your health tomorrow. So, one, manage your A1C, your blood glucose, your blood pressures, your cholesterol levels. Take care of your mental health. Make the lifestyle adjustments and changes that you should, and slowly build those healthy habits. It's not going to happen overnight. Take your medication, take them on time, even if you feel good. There's a situation that I'm dealing with right now, young African-American male who blood pressure is extremely elevated. And this individual does not feel anything. They don't feel like anything's wrong. And they're not taking their medication. Diabetes is the same. You may not feel anything. You may not know that anything's going on until the damage is done. And so being adamant and diligent about getting your healthcare screenings done, that's going to be the way to go. So I did mention we were going to talk about the A1C level. So the A1C, which is a average of blood sugars over a 3-month time frame. The range of it is between 4 and 5.6. Those are the normal ranges, right? A1C levels between 5.7 and 6.4 is considered pre-diabetes. And then anything 6.5 and higher is a diagnosis of diabetes. So normal A1C levels is between 4 and 5.6. If you have an A1C level between 5.7 and 6.4, you are considered pre-diabetic. And usually that's when we would start the medications, so to speak, or increasing the lifestyle or beginning the lifestyle modification and things like that. Once you get to 6.5, you have a diagnosis of diabetes, and the chances that you're going to be placed on medication is high, right? I hope you learned something tonight. I hope something that I said stuck out with you and kind of prompted you to go and look at your blood work to see, what is my A1C? Where do I stand? Where do I fall within the normal? Am I pre-diabetic, or do I have a diagnosis of diabetes? Join us next week as we partner with a really good friend of mine. Her name is Camille Bell. She is a family nurse practitioner, and she is the owner of Pinnacle. And I don't have the full name of her business, and I'll put it up on the screen with her bio. But she is a diabetic specialist when it comes to nurse practitioners. So this is Dr. Latoya Wells. I have to hop because I have to jump on another live here in a few minutes. But thank you all so much for joining us for another Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Wells. I'm so grateful for you, each and every one of you. I do want to give a quick shout out to a really good friend of mine, a sister, Erica Michelle Bailey, with Brand Her Right and Girl I See You movement for my shirt. She did some promotional items for me for the grand opening, and she said she was going to throw in some things just because for me, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for my items. Until next time, this is Dr. Latoya Wells. Go check your A1C. If you haven't had one, talk to your healthcare provider about getting one. If you don't have a healthcare provider, come see us. We can do that for you. Good night. Stay safe and be well. This is Dr. Latoya Wells with Wells Legacy Health and Wellness. Bye.